Hotty toddy, Ole Miss fans, and welcome to the Brad and Chad Show on the OM Network. Brought to you by Blue Delta Jeans, made in the USA. This is the show by and for Ole Miss fans, where you'll get expert insight and analysis on Ole Miss athletics. And now, here are your hosts, former Rebels Chad Flowers and retired NFL star Bradley Sowell.
Podcast time.
Brad and Chad Show, January 24th, 2023. Chad Flowers coming at you. We are down to 4 teams left in the NFL playoffs. We got some good stories to talk about here shortly. Yes, we still have more portal news to talk about. 3 more additions to the Ole Miss roster, as well as a new coach that is going to be making his way down with Lane. We will talk about all of that. Before that, I want to bring in my friend, Bradley Sowell. How are you today, sir?
Chad, what is up, man? We're officially we're inside the 30-day countdown to softball tournament, and now we are twice a week going hard. 2-hour practice twice a week. Now we went from we've shifted from our off-season mode of a lot of fundamental work. So now we're getting into game like situations. Got to get the girls ready. A lot of hitting practice. So that's what we've been focused on lately.
I can speak for everybody, including myself. We're all waiting with bated breath for every update, including once these tournaments start. I would like, I would appreciate you firing up that Twitter account so we can start getting live updates from someone as these games are happening, because this is what the people are clamoring for, man. This is what they want.
They're excited about 10U softball. I mean, I'm sure they're sitting around, they're waiting for it. It's just like football season. They're anticipating. I think just myself and all the other parents are about the only ones looking forward to it. And some of them ain't even looking forward to it themselves. So,
I mean, it should be it's probably going to lead off every show once that starts, just so everybody knows. We're just going to make sure that you know what's going on with this 10U softball team down in Central Mississippi. So we're all really excited about that. I got to go see the Kings and the Grizzlies play last night. That was fun. Grizzlies came into town, got to see the Kings whip that ass by 33. So that was fun.
33 points in the NBA. God.
Yeah. Now, granted, Ja and Steven Adams didn't play for the Grizzlies, so that is a little bit skewed. But it's good.
Is it because they had their feelings hurt by Shannon Sharp, or what was that? Why didn't they play?
I think it's good to see that the Kings are actually relevant this year, because they've been terrible ever since I've been in Sacramento. So it was good to see that, and hopefully,
who are you taking in that fight, Chad? Steven Adams, Shannon Sharp. Like I don't, man. Shannon Sharp is yoked. I feel like he can pop John Morant's head with a grate with it.
Now John Morant, yes, but Steven Adams is known as one of the strongest players in the NBA. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not messing with Shannon Sharp either, but Steven Adams he's not anything to mess around with. Yeah, he would kill John Morant.
Well, what we need to do is we need to get what's the little Paul guy, the Jake Paul guy, to stir that up a little bit, and we'll just do a boxing match, right? Anybody can be a boxer now and make millions of dollars. All you got to do is be kind of famous. You can box each other. So maybe Jake Paul will get Shannon Sharp to box Steven Adams.
I would enjoy seeing that. I would definitely pay, maybe $10 or $15. That's about it. I'm not paying 50 or 80, whatever they're charging to pay per view at this point. I'm not going to pay that. But it was cool. It was cool to see that
I always say that though, Chad. I always say I'm not paying for that. Then they start talking crap. Yeah. It happens with every UFC fight. Like, I'm not a huge UFC guy, but as soon as I see some banter between the two of them, I'm like, all right, I'm doing it. $69.99. I'll do it. Then all of a sudden it's like one punch and they're out of there. I'm like, that wouldn't even work. Or the guy that talked the most stuff gets crushed. Yeah, I fall for it. I fall for it every time though. I'm easy to market to.
Yeah, I'm not a big. I haven't got into the UFC. It's real big up here, but not something that I'm particularly fond with. It's funny that you bring up, fights and conflicts. I think we should talk about kind of a looming story that's been happening not only in the Ole Miss atmosphere, but the national atmosphere as well. So a few weeks ago, we had a guest on. Bradley's good friends with him. I'm sure everybody in the Ole Miss family knows Jerrell Powe. Not long ago, a story circulated that Jerrell Powe had been arrested. Now, when you see that someone's been arrested, yeah, that can be kind of alarming. But when you see the charges that he was arrested for, kidnapping, that immediately threw red flags. Because just in my brief interaction with Jerrell Powe, nice guy, funny, likes to have a good time. Everything that you've said about him, people that I know, mutual friends with Jerrell Powe, say that, man, he's the coolest guy, the greatest guy. So that in itself was, man, what's a kidnapping? That doesn't make any sense. Well, today, Mississippi Today released some details about what has actually happened. And man, what a ride this is. So let's break it down, because I'm going to have some questions for you.
So immediately there's a guy that I know real well, that's in a group text with, and he immediately called this out. He said, "Hey, the truth's going to come out. There's so much more of the story, dude." And here's the sad part about it for me. This is why I'm frustrated, right? Because Powe is an unbelievable character, right? Like, he's a great guy, and I don't care what anybody says. Unless Powe lost his mind, I would not cross Powe, but also he's the most loving guy you'll ever meet and will do anything for anybody. So the fact that, here's the sad part for him is the media has sent this out here, and it's all, hey, he gets arrested. And if you read the details, he should not have been arrested. Okay. Like why do you just show up and arrest Powe? Like, why not dig into this situation more? And it's a known con artist, allegedly a known con artist who's been doing this for a long time in this area. So what sucks for him is within the Ole Miss family, we understand Powe. The national media does not understand Powe, and they're just looking at him like, oh, here he is, some guy just off his rocker crazy, and it's going to ruin his reputation. Yep, ruin his reputation for no reason, which just pisses me off, and it's frustrating to me.
So let's talk about the details. So not everybody may be familiar. Not everybody's probably read this Mississippi Today article. No. So let's talk about what happened first and foremost, and then we'll kind of get into some of this kind of seems weird. So Jerrell Powe and a guy who's actually up the road, Roseville, California, is like 20 minutes from me. So them and some other athletes wanted to start a marijuana dispensary in the state of Mississippi. Obviously, medical marijuana has become legal. I'm sure there's still some things they're trying to iron out, but that law has passed to some extent. So there's obviously business opportunities there to make some money, which, hey, that's part of it. Let's make some money off of it. Well, they get hooked up with the guy called Bryce Mathis, a 28-year-old. And it looks like the amount that they've invested is around $300,000. Now, this is not all Jerrell Powe's money, not all the guy in California. There's a few people that have pooled some money together, which totaled around $300,000, and they gave it to Bryce Mathis to invest or to start this, whatever it is. Well, time goes on, and I'm sure there have been phone calls, conversations. Nothing has happened with this project, right? So essentially, allegedly, Mr. Mathis has seemingly taken this money and not done anything with it, which is obviously a red flag. Well, as time goes on, we get to a year since this has happened, and all parties have a call and say, hey, look, this ain't working. Let's get our money back. Okay. Mr. Mathis says, okay, that is perfectly fine with me. Let's all meet in Jackson or surrounding areas, and let's go to the bank. I've got a Chase bank account where I have held this money, and we will go get it. Okay, fine. So they all stay at a hotel.
Which that in itself is odd in today's era. Like I go wire money all the time that never have to go. So that's right. Kind of sketchy. Like, we'll go withdraw. Hey, I'm gonna get $300,000 cash out of this account. Like, right, they don't exist. But anyways.
So yeah, so they stay the night in a hotel because they arrived in I forget the town, Ridgeland,
right here by me. So I know exactly where they're staying. Mm-hmm.
So they stay the night in the hotel. And then they go to the bank the next day. Well, Mr. Mathis allegedly tells the teller that he has been kidnapped, and his life is basically being threatened, allegedly, by Jerrell Powe, who is sitting in the bank as this is happening. I think the story said he was just on Snapchat, just kind of dicking around, playing on his phone while Mathis is at the teller trying to get this money. All of a sudden, the police show up. Here we go. And so the police...
Imagine Poe's reaction just knowing him. Dude, hey, what is going on?
Dude, I would be shitting my pants at that point. Like, what are you talking about? Okay, now, some details in this story. So the teller took Mathis's story for what it was, and they called the police. Apparently, the police believed every word that Mathis was... They said that Jerrell Powe slept on Mathis's legs, and this is all alleged. They slept on his legs to keep him from running away. Now, understand that the cops did not get any restraints. They did not recover any weapons. So there was nothing had by the by Jerrell Powe or this other person that showed that there was an actual kidnapping in terms of devices that would aid them in this kidnapping process. Now, what we don't know, okay, some of the officers that are investigating have indicated that there may be voicemails, text messages, and we don't have that. There may be a grand jury that has to be brought in. So there are still some details that are out there, but just on the surface alone, how do you just take the other person's word and arrest Jerrell Powe? Now, I'm going to put a pin in it. We still have more details to talk about, but I wanted to bring you into this because—
Well, hold on. The first thing I want to know is if Jerrell Powe slept on my legs all night, I wouldn't be able to walk the next day. I don't think. Like his circulation should have been gone in those legs, right?
Yeah, man. And hell, I mean, the worst night of sleep imaginable. You know what they needed? You know, if Jerrell Powe's going to sleep on your legs, I do recommend a Nest and Wild mattress because I have heard that they're handcrafted by, Southern craftsmen to give you that, that quality of sleep that you're looking for, right? They're powered by decades of experience, backed by 99.
And that company is legit. No, I invested in that one, and it was more than that. And we are more than legit. So
So if you're looking for a mattress, find them on Amazon or nestandwild.com. But anyway,
so Nick, if y'all don't perform, I will find Nick Weaver and I will sleep on your legs. Okay,
yes,
outside of Regions Bank. Okay, Nick.
Now, I wanted to ask you this before we get into some more of the details, because there's still more to be had about this Bryce Mathis character. You see a lot in the news. I think Patrick Willis is dealing with it. Deuce McAllister dealt with it as well.
Yep.
Athletes can be targets for shady characters attempting to, take some of your hard-earned money and do something nefarious with it, or just do something that they're not intending to do with it. My question for you was, were you ever approached, or did you know anybody that kind of got, screwed over? And how did the NFL prepare you for this? Because that's obviously part of preparation that goes into being a professional athlete, that, hey, there are going to be people that come after you. So you have to make sure that you know who's in your circle, or else, stuff like this can happen. So did you have any experiences?
Yeah, it's a sad situation. There are people out there that are always trying to offer something, to sell something. And my only advice— I've seen it happen to guys, right? They go get in these weird deals. Only advice, and it's sad because a lot of the guys in football, and I'm not going to generalize football, but a lot of guys just want to play football, and they don't focus on their financials as much as they should. Mm-hmm. And I'm glad I was one of the ones that went out and was like, hey, I'm going to educate myself. Anybody knows me knows I'm very diligent in anything I do. But I wish more guys would do that, right? Because I wasn't raised like in a background where we were like doing business deals and all this different stuff. So a lot of guys don't know how to do the proper due diligence on a deal. They don't know what to ask for whenever a guy's getting a pitch for them. So a really sophisticated manipulator can come to an athlete and manipulate the shit out of them, because they can sell them a dream, and they're easy targets because they're like saying, hey, I got plenty of money, whatever, I'll take a chance on this deal. And these guys are just taking advantage of it, and it sucks. But it's one of those things, man. You got to educate yourself, and you see it happen all the time, and it's sad. It really is sad. And what's crazy is there's other guys out there, line of work I'm in now, where you go out and try to educate guys about a legit deal or legit stuff, and they won't know part of it. And you're like, man, you just did a deal on a goofy car dealership or some kind of goofy venture with weed, but you won't buy a triple net asset in real estate or something. So it's just it's a sad line. It really is.
It is. And so here's where a lot of the details that come to light make this arrest and all this stuff circling Jerrell Powe even more dubious, right? So it comes out that this guy, Bryce Mathis, has allegedly run similar schemes in other states: California, Texas, Seattle, Pennsylvania, where he was originally from. I believe I read that correctly in the article. So this is not the first time that he has been, accused of taking someone's money and not doing anything with it. In fact, a grand jury indicted Mathis back in 2019 for false pretenses and mail fraud. Now, those charges were dropped because he paid back what was owed, but there is a history here with this individual. And there are, I recommend everybody go read that article from Mississippi Today. We'll post it on our Twitter account. So if you want to go and read it, it's easy to find. But it's really
a bad
crazy.
Look for our state, man. That's a bad look for our state.
It is.
In my opinion. I mean, you just show up and let's just show up and arrest Poe, right? And with this guy's a huge history. I'm not saying that
You can't threaten people, right? You can't threaten people, right?
Yeah. So we don't know that part of it. So that something needs to be released to let us know that it would. I mean, it just makes no sense to me to show up and arrest Poe. Like it just, all things considered, why didn't they not show up and gather information? Let's just assume, oh yeah, the big guy's just going to kidnap this dude. That's a fraudster.
Well, let's just say it. The big black man was sitting there in the bank, and they must have thought he was a threat, because why wouldn't I listen to this guy? And why wouldn't I believe him? Right. But there were no restraints. There was no weapon to be found. So just because obviously they didn't have access to the text messages, the voicemails that they're referring to now, they didn't have access to those on the day of the arrest. So it makes it feel even more, man, this just feels gross.
Yeah, it feels bad. I mean, if I do in fact bring Nick Weaver to the bank, I wonder if they're going to arrest me. You know what I mean? Like if they arrest me, I doubt it. So I don't want to go there with it, but let's be real here. That's a bad look for our state. And, and I've heard it's went on here for a while. And, yeah, that sucks, man, because Poe's going to be trying to get us. Poe, who has a great reputation in Mississippi, amongst you, I've seen him do so many things for people that, just the nicest freaking guy, and never give a bad word for anybody ever trying to get something from him, do something. I mean, Poe will do anything for any of his old teammates. And now the people outside of here, I'm getting texts outside of here, hey, who's this crazy thug guy from your school kidnapping people? No, he's not that at all. But he's already been smeared in the national media. Now people think he's a crazy ex-athlete doing stuff, and he's not. Mm-hmm. He actually got money stolen from him. And if anybody out there knows how hard it is, I mean, everybody knows how hard it is to earn money, especially in today's environment. Getting money stolen from you, I mean, the dude's lucky that he just laid on his legs. Lucky he still has his legs. So let's be real here.
Because, Jerrell Powe did play in the NFL, but it's not like he had an extended career where he's got all this. Right. I mean, imagine if somebody took, all 300,000 wasn't his, but just say if somebody took $100,000 from you, thinking that you're getting a business venture and then not do anything with it. I would be doing a lot of, potentially questionable things to try to get that money back. So just on what we know, I can't fault Jerrell Powe for what he did. And it doesn't sound like, because the guy willingly came with him in the vehicle. They stayed overnight in a hotel. Now, whether or not Jerrell Powe slept on his legs, that was Mathis's version of the story. Once again, this is all, the facts will come out as we start getting into court. But
can we make a movie? If there's a movie out there, can we do a documentary or a movie? I feel like this would be a great Netflix series. Like I want to see the part of him actually laying on the legs. I want to see the guy like his legs like going numb.
It was actually a funny quote in the article. Somebody said this is like the Apple Dumpling Gang meets the Sopranos, which reading it, it's like, Jesus Christ, you couldn't write this. If you wrote this and handed it to me, I'm like, man, this is a little full of shit. Why don't you try to rewrite this a little bit and make it a little bit more believable? But yeah, so there's still a lot to come out. But for anyone that just immediately judged Jerrell Powe off of, hey, okay, he was arrested for kidnapping. He must have done something wrong. It must have been his fault. Now that you have the full details of the story, you need to reevaluate your stance, because put yourself in his position, you would have probably done the exact same thing. So hopefully, and Jerrell Powe actually tweeted today saying that, hey, I'm going to be fine. Everything's going to come out, which was refreshing to be able to hear that. So,
which goes in hand with his personality, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like he's been smeared, and I even text him as well and was like, hey man, whatever, you go come on the show, tell your side story, go ahead. Yep. I hate that the media try to smear him like that, and because he's not that kind of guy, and that's what frustrates me. Whenever in today's world, he's actually the victim, but he's been portrayed as the actual person that's kidnapping people. I'm like, come on, man, like that's pathetic. It's pathetic. Everybody wants some clicks, so let's put Big Poe on the front page, so he looks like an ex former athlete that's out there doing crazy stuff, and it's just not it. So
100%.
Hopefully everything comes to light, and he gets out of it, and hopefully there's not more to the story that we're missing.
Yeah. So as more details come out, we'll fill in as much as we can regarding that. But we wish nothing but the best for Jerrell Powe. We're backing him 110%, because this Bryce character, he seems like a real piece of shit. Allegedly, he's a piece of shit. I feel like I can say that and be okay doing that. So that's the Jerrell Powe saga. There's more to come, and we will see what happens as that comes out. Yeah, Brad and Chad Show brought to you by Blue Delta Jeans. Remember, Blue Delta Jeans, handmade in the USA to fit you and only you. Visit them, bluedeltajeans.com. Find your fit using their easy-to-use virtual tailor. So at the top of the show, I mentioned the NFL, right? So we're down to our Final Four in the NFL. We got the championship games for both conferences this weekend. You've got Niners and Eagles on Fox, I think at 3 p.m. or 2 p.m. Central, and then you've got Bengals and Chiefs. So it should be pretty interesting matchup. You got Mike Hilton with the Bengals. You got A.J. Brown with the Eagles. Those are your Ole Miss connections there to talk about. But one thing that I really wanted to talk about is there has been a clip circulating from a podcast that your friend Kyle Long was on, talking about the famous double doink that happened in the playoff game back in it was the 2018 season, but it happened January of 2019 where the Bears lost to the Eagles. Let's go ahead and run that clip, and then I want to kind of hear your side of it.
They're lining up for a field goal. This game's about over. I think my career is pretty much over. And your guy, Brad Sowell was like, hey, man, it's going to be all right, man. You're going to be on vacation next week.
You're going to be in Turks and Caicos next week, big boy.
10 seconds later, right, we're looking up at this thing floating and doinking again. And the thing I remember and I'll never forget was getting to the locker room and hearing from Trayvon Hester, who's an unheralded guy, unsigned cat. He was on special teams, that he tipped the ball. And none of us knew that. We thought Parkey is his name, right?
Yeah.
That he just plain shanked it.
So bring me back to that moment, right? So tell me, you were on the field, apparently, right? Let's relive that moment through your eyes, Brad.
Okay, so the crap talking was real. Okay, so that was so I was a known crap talker, but not like a cocky crap talker, just like a funny. Like I was trying to make. I would always like to get in games and make the situation a lot smaller than what it was. Big situations, or I would always known to talk smack to another guy's defender, like Aaron Donald. I come out there for field goal, or I'm at tackle and I'm talking shit to Aaron Donald, but the guard it comes to the sideline. He's cussing me out. He's like, dude, what are you doing to make Aaron Donald pissed? Like, you don't even have to block him all game. So like I was that guy, and I tried to have a lot of fun out there. But yes, I was making their vacation plans for them before the kick even happened. And then he makes the first one. Then I really start talking. I'm like, boys, it's just a technicality here. Y'all gonna be in Turks and Caicos, but. Yeah, that sucked, man. The suckiest part about that is that kick, that doink, cost everybody in that locker room $44,000. Because if you advance to the next game, next round, that would have been your bonus check for the divisional round, would have been $44,000. And it's cool. Players, that's great. Some guys taking a pay cut to play in the playoffs. But for the coaches, that's a big deal, right?
Yeah.
Like, coaches aren't making $44,000 a week, not the coordinators and or some of the position coaches or even some of the staff. So that's the sucky part about it. But at the end of the day, it did get tipped, and people always forget that. And we knew that on the team. We knew, and really the one who should have gotten in trouble was the guard there. He has to get that guy's hands down or stay a little bit lower. And that ball probably, because all of Parkey's balls were kind of fading a little bit. And if you look at it, that ball getting tipped just straightened it out is all it did. Because the first one actually started out at the left upright and went right down the center. That one would have probably done the same, but it got tipped, and that sucks. And one of the coolest parts about that clip is, first off, Parkey missed any point to the sky, which I thought was really cool. He's like, hey, even in the bad moments, I still but look who picked Parkey up. And it was a big deal at the time. Bobby Massey walked right back there and picked him up and gave him a hug or whatever, which I thought was cool because, man, being alienated in that situation, there's 20 million people watching those games.
Oh, yeah.
What this guy's life's about to be like. Hell, they had competitions out in the middle of Chicago of kicking field goals on ice, all kinds of stuff. I mean, it was
vilified,
terrible.
Man. He was released a few months later from the Bears. I don't even know if he's still in the league at this point. So I can't imagine the mental anguish that he went through.
He's a great kid too, man. He's an awesome kid. Like, that's what sucks about it. It's like he's still the brunt of all the jokes, but like Cody Parkey is oh my gosh. Like, he's such a good kid. I felt horrible for him. It'd be like one of your good friends that everybody liked, just a good, quiet, good, just solid guy there every day, does his job. He actually made the Pro Bowl one year, I think. Just a good, and then dude just happens to be, which he struggled all year. We lost 2 games.
He did.
We lost 2 games, and he was signed to a pretty big deal. We lost 2 games that he missed the field goal to tie the game. One was in the Dolphins down in Miami, and another one was maybe versus the Giants or something up in New York. But yeah, man, that sucked. Man, that was I hate seeing that. Ugh.
Yes, so that was that was really cool for to hear your buddies talking about you, just talking shit to the opposing players.
Yeah, and I can't. I was going to try to get Kyle on. We'll get Kyle along on here to let you relive some stories. And I had some different phrases that I said every game to people that they loved. And there was some stuff that kind of carried over across the NFL. That was mainly for me, just talking it, and it was funny.
Yeah, the most shocking aspect of that entire story is I would have never pictured you to be a shit talker, man. That is earth-shattering stuff. So glad we could bring that to light. Yeah, so.
Yeah, I'd like to have a little too much fun, and it always sucked whenever you'd face a real serious guy, and I'd be trying to do my shit talking and try to lighten up the mood, but he wasn't having that shit. So it's like, all right, now I got to chill out first off and try to block this dude because he ain't having my bullshit today. He's not having my friendly crap talk today. So yeah, that's funny, man.
All right, real quick, who are your picks in the championship games this weekend?
Man, for whatever reason, the Bengals have that it factor, man. I said it earlier, and San Fran does too, though. That's why I'm excited. If that were to be the matchup, that'd be cool. But I think you got Eagles. San Fran is going to be a good game. I just Philly's good, man. They're just a good team. They got it all. I think they win, but man, don't put it. San Fran could easily. They're on like this weird like Bengals type like untouchable type of deal. So
hats off to Brock Purdy, man. He has, man, what he's done has been incredible. So yeah, so you sounds like you're going Eagles and Bengals. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, well, no, yeah, I'm thinking Eagles, Bengals, but man, the Chiefs are good too. But Mahomes kind of banged up a little bit last week. Bengals just got that it, man. I can see him doing it. I can see him actually winning it this time. I think the Bengals could potentially win, which is weird to think. Like if you look at the playoffs now, like Bengals, like those teams all sucked when I first came in the league. It's like weird seeing the trend. The Bills are in there. Like Chiefs weren't that good. Hell, Chiefs were 2-14 one year we played them. So like it's amazing how over time the NFL kind of rotates. The Bengals were bad for so long. It was about their time.
Yeah, I could see. I think I'm going to go Eagles and Bengals as well. I think that's what's going to happen. Let's transition over to some Ole Miss news, right? So, so many shows we've been talking about transfer portal. This one's going to have some element to it as well because the Rebels continue to bring players in. So 3 additions to talk about here. 2 in the defensive backfield. Deshaun Gaddy from North Texas. He is a commitment. He is a cornerback, 6-foot corner. From North Texas. I think there's still some academic issues that are being ironed out with him, so it's not 100%, but he has committed to the Rebels. The other defensive back is a real promising one. You've got, and let me find my notes here, Zamari Walton from Georgia Tech.
Georgia Tech, yeah, 6'3".
Yeah, 6'3". You got length at that position is always something that's never a bad thing, right? That's something else you can't teach, that along with speed. Yeah. So Zamari Walton's going to come. He's also an experienced player, which I think is always important in the defensive backfield. He started 37 games in the last 4 seasons with the Yellow Jackets.
Yeah, so, you got to wonder too. What are they moving on from Igminosa or whatever, or are they sending a message saying, "Hey, like it is what it is, bro. It's a portal era. Like you got to go somewhere. Go. We'll find some veterans to give us some production as well." So. That'll be interesting to see what happens with those 2 guys.
That should soften the blow of Otis Reese, A.J. Finley, Miles Battle. You mentioned Tysheem Johnson, Davison Igbinosun. Now, Johnson and Igbinosun may still be with the Rebels because they are in the transfer portal still. They have not committed, so they may come back. So, yeah, the other player, linebacker, which is obviously a position of need for the Rebels. Monty Montgomery has committed from Louisville, 5'11", 220, 11 tackles for a loss. He had 6 sacks this past year for the Cardinals, so that's
he's a good player. This kid's a good player. I think he was a 4-star recruit coming out.
Yeah,
from somewhere in Georgia. I think this kid. I wouldn't watched him. I've been watching some of the guys, trying to find the guys that have been we've been signing. But this kid in particular, I think is a he's not going to be as exciting as some of these others, but he's going to be a gem for us. I mean, he's one of those guys that can come in and almost be like a Mark Robinson or something like that for us, and come in and fly around. And he looks good. He really does look good for them.
Yeah, he had 2 interceptions as well. Now, the other question that everybody's been asking, what about this linebacker from Alabama, talking about Demoy Kennedy? He still hasn't committed yet. So Ole Miss is still on the table. Alabama could still be on the table where he goes back there. So no word yet on Demoy Kennedy. Hopefully he's going to be in Oxford next year, but that still remains to be seen.
Yep. We're hoping Golding will bring us over a guy or 2, right? Like that would be helpful. Part of the deal here. So,
and like I said, don't freak out, right? Because the roster is not going to be set until well into May, right?
Oh,
if you remember from last week's episode.
Think about 2 weeks to 3 weeks ago. Everybody was freaking out because we haven't had anybody in the portal. Now I can't keep up with it. I'm like, well, shit, we got another guy. We also got a JUCO lineman too yesterday, I think. So and another big body coming in. So yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, because remember, there's still another portal window that's going to open up in May after spring practices. So the roster will not be set until the summer gets here. So just be happy with what we have right now, and we'll see what happens as the weeks and months progress. Now, speaking of the defensive backfield, those two guys are going to have a new coach taking care of them. That's Kenoto Hudson, who from Western Kentucky, who Lane Kiffin has signed to fill the position. Sam Carter, last year's coach, he went to Purdue. Now, Hudson, I mentioned he was at Western Kentucky. He coached with Lane at both USC and Florida Atlantic. He was also with Lovie Smith at Illinois. Really cool story. So he recruits the state of Florida, apparently. That's kind of his home base, which is obviously fertile ground. He recruited a no-star recruit called Devin Witherspoon to Illinois. He was a no-star prospect, had 0. This year, he has declared for the NFL draft, and he is going to be a first-round pick more than likely. So being able to spot talent like that, that's pretty cool. So maybe he's able to find some of those type of projects to bring to Oxford as well.
That's amazing. That's pretty. That's a pretty good.
A no-star prospect going to a first-round pick. Yeah, that's kind of unheard of, especially in this day and age when, hell, there's so many different recruiting sites, and you've got video on so many thousands of players across the country.
Chad, you need to go pull up. So I saw a graphic the other day of the first team All-Pro this year. Go look at the stars.
Oh God, I bet it's just nothing but 4s and 5s.
No, it's
really
nothing. It's no 5 stars on there. Something crazy. Like it's just weird. It's like all 3s and 2s. And even an unrated guy, I think would have been like maybe Lane Johnson. I don't know. Just go look at it. Somebody posted it and was like, "Wow, it's like maybe the first time it's ever happened." I think there was like no 5 stars on the whole thing.
So what does that tell you? So when you see that, do you think that the star system
it just tells me there's no
it
just tells me there's no perfect science to it. Here's the number one problem with rating systems. I've said this all along. Okay. Well, first off, kids are playing different levels of competition, right? Sure. Like you look on some films, man, dudes are dominating these little tiny ass dudes. You look at some films where they're facing real competition. So it's hard to tell. They're in different states. And one thing you can never put a price on is how much the kid actually loves it. And how much football IQ they're able to gain, and it's listen. There's something whenever the lights come on, right? Mm-hmm. You have players that are great in practice. You have people that are really good in shorts. They show out, but when the lights come on and you have to do it in a big environment, you can't evaluate that. The only way you know is when you get out there, right? Mm-hmm. And that is what separates the really good players from the so-so ones. Some guys just don't have that it, and they don't have that. They're not able to go out there and put the pads on and do it. It's like Dexter McCluster. I mean, I think he ran like a 4.6 or 4.5 or something crazy, and everybody's like, man, I thought he was like a 4.3 guy. No, but when he puts on those pads, like when he gets out there in front of people, he does it, right? So just some guys can, some guys can't, and you can't put a star rating on it. Like some guys really just have that extra shit in there.
And an Ole Miss example would be Patrick Willis. I think he might have been a 2, maybe a 3-star recruit out of high school, and one of the best linebackers the school's ever seen, and may make the Hall of Fame in the NFL. In the coming weeks. So yeah, I mean, it's not a perfect system, but it's obviously a decent way to gauge what type of talent you have on your roster.
Yeah, there's a massive long list of 4 and 5 stars that were just okay college players and never really did anything. And it's not that they weren't talented. They probably had all the talent in the world, but like there's a mental side to sports that has to be tapped into, right? It's such a mental game, man. Like I can go on for days about the ways you have to trick your mind in sports to actually get to the level that you want to be at, right? Because when you get to the next level, the biggest thing is like you have to understand they're paid to kick your ass too.
Oh, sure.
And you're gonna have to be able to put things behind you quickly. And some guys will lose one time and they turn into a snowball effect and they can't handle losing. And that's the number one thing, man. It's crazy. Like guys will lose once and they start going on this crazy head spin, whereas you have to be a so what, now what mindset where when you get your ass whooped, it's time like, okay, I can move on to the next play. I understand, hey, that defensive end's making – I mean, there's been times where I've been in a game versus I had a span one time where it was Greg Hardy, Robert Quinn, J.J. Watt back-to-back weeks, and then Robert Mathis. So that's 4 weeks in a row. I'm making the least amount of money. These dudes are all making $10, $15 million a year. And you have to go in those games like, hey, this guy's probably going to kick my ass a lot, but I have to be to bounce back and do my fair share of ass kicking too. And some guys can't do it.
Yeah. I mean, we talk about Brock Purdy. I think he was a 3-star coming out of high school, and look at him. He's going to be starting.
He's in a great system. Those systems are great. With San Fran, you got Kyle Shanahan has a great system. McVay has a great system. Those systems are really quarterback and O-line friendly. It's a lot of good runs, a lot of good intermediate stuff. Those are those systems are great for those quarterbacks.
Yeah. So just covering basketball, make sure we kind of have an understanding where the basketball team is. So men's team, they're actually playing tonight. We're recording this on Tuesday. They're playing tonight in Oxford against Missouri, looking for that second SEC win. They lost to Arkansas this past weekend. This weekend, they will play in Stillwater, Oklahoma, against Oklahoma State, part of the SEC Big 12 Challenge. That's on Saturday, 7 o'clock ESPN2, if that's something that you want to watch. The women, they've hit a little bit of a skid, right? 2 games in a row that they've lost to Alabama and Auburn. They will look to get back on track Thursday against Mississippi State. That game will be on the SEC Network if you want to watch that, 8 o'clock from the pavilion in Oxford. So that'll be a home game for
the pavilion's beautiful.
It is. What's going on in the pavilion remains a little bit to be desired. I will leave it at that, but hopefully we can get things turned around. I keep saying that, you know what the definition of insanity is, right? But we'll see. Hopefully Kermit can get it turned around, but it's a real tough watch right now. I'll just leave it like that.
It is tough.
Last thing that I want to leave with is I always want to make sure and mention our friend Jeff Griffin, Stevenson Griffin Group, Baird Private Wealth Management. Go to their group's website, stevensongriffingroup.bairdwealth.com. Always give them a call, 662-841-1900. That is Jeff Griffin, Stevenson.
And we have it confirmed. He will fill that wallet up.
He most certainly will. He may need to talk to Jerrell Powe a little bit about his money situations in a little bit as well. Brad and Chad show brought to you by Blue Delta Jeans. Another good show in the mix. Bradley,
what you got going on this week?
Let's see. Work. My kid goes back to school Thursday, and so I think this needs to be said. My kid's daycare has been closed since December 30th. I'm ready to commit to crimes that I have no I'll commit. I'll say that I kidnapped this Bryce guy if it means that I can get some separation from my child. I love him to death, but man, working from home and having a 3-year-old is tough. Talking about marijuana a little bit with the Jerrell Powe story. It's illegal in my state. He got into my my gummies, my edibles, and gave some to my dog. So that was always fun too. So yeah, I need my daycare to open up. If you're listening, please hurry up and open up as fast as possible.
So how did your dog react to this?
He was fighting for his life for about 4 or 5 hours. Just sitting over there, just basically spinning, right? Life flashing before his eyes. And like me, I'm watching my child, right? Because I had no idea what was consumed or how much. Right. So I'm now just basically watching my child, making sure that, I'm checking his oxygen, I'm checking his pulse, all that type of stuff. And like I said, my dog is he's going through it, man. He's basically having Vietnam flashbacks over there, just not knowing what the hell's going on in his life or how he got there. But thankfully, everybody is okay. My child did not consume anything, so please do not call CPS on me.
To confirm, that was not the cannabis company that Poe and them invested in, right?
Let's keep everything separated here. Yeah, that had nothing to do with the investment that Jerrell Powe was seeking. Nothing like that. I did not do a good job of hiding my vices, and my child found them, gave them to my dog. My dog is A-okay. My child is A-okay. It is a story that we can laugh at now. Man, and let's make sure we don't clip that and make that part of some of the things that we put on social media. How about that too? So that is the Brad and Chavit show for this week. Now we've got softball and baseball right around the corner. Be looking for some preview episodes for the upcoming seasons for those teams here in the coming weeks. Maybe we'll try to have a coach or two on just to kind of talk about what to expect, especially on the baseball side. Defending that national championship, it looks pretty good. Rebels are going to have a pretty solid squad on the diamond as well, and then we can talk about some softball as well. I know that'll be right up Bradley's alley as well.
I'm sure people are dying to hear about that softball, baby.
Hey, you know what? Softball gets a rap, but fast pitch softball, man, it is fun as hell. It's faster than baseball. It is baseball, but a lot faster. It is not a hard watch compared to like slow pitch softball, which was
the talent of a pitcher, and there's going to be very few. I mean, there may be some dads that listen to this that have softball. I know we got one guy. A softball pitcher, it takes a real talent, dude. Go out there and try to do the motion as a guy. It's crazy to see and my daughter is a really good pitcher. And I don't even, I obviously got our coaches and stuff, but I don't even know how to work with her on that. Like it's a legit talent that like you have to either naturally can do it or not. So it's actually an impressive thing to see.
Yeah, and maybe we can get some video of you trying that out. I would like to see how you're able to mimic those motions to make sure and teach your daughter.
Yeah, you missed it, dude. So I had what I think is my most epic practice ever the other day, dude. We had the music blaring. We owned the ballpark the other day, dude. It was legitly. It sounded like a football practice, but it was just 10-year-old girls. Like it was awesome, man.
All right, well, way to make them work. I appreciate it. I'm sure they were sore the next day. Just getting their ass kicked by you. So that's cool. But yeah, it is a fun practice to watch. So yeah, Brad and Chad Show brought to you by Blue Delta Jeans. We want to thank our sponsors for allowing this to happen. Make sure you like and subscribe wherever you find the Brad and Chad Show. Keep those numbers running up. We appreciate everybody listening. All your comments, those are much appreciated as well. Until next time, my friend, hotty toddy.
See you, Chad. Hotty toddy.
Thanks for listening to the Brad and Chad Show. Follow the boys on social media for more content. And don't forget to like and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. This has been an OM Network production, brought to you by Blue Delta Jeans, made in the USA.